Hey guys, what is up and welcome to a new Nvidia daily update video. So today, as per usual, let's go over Nvidia stock, let's go over the market, let's talk about what is happening to Nvidia, what we can expect moving into tomorrow, which will be a big day for Nvidia. And of course, we have Wednesday FOMC, so I'll give you my thoughts moving forward. But ladies and gentlemen, if you enjoyed, please don't forget to hit that like button. This is not financial advice and I'm not a financial advisor. And of course, if you enjoy my technical analysis, I do share my thoughts with our members every single day the market is open, as the market is trading every single day. Just $3 a month gives you access to the first tier, which includes Tesla stock, updates, technical analysis, options flow. $5 a month gives you access to the second tier, which also includes Nvidia. And now I have a third tier coming out later this week, probably tomorrow, which includes stock updates, analysis, etc. on non-Tesla Nvidia stocks. If I see opportunities in other stocks, AMD, Hood, anything else really that I see worth sharing. Today I actually shared Nike. That is coming out tomorrow or Wednesday. So definitely check it out if you're interested. That's going to be $6.99 a month. Had to make it 69. I couldn't resist, but nonetheless, definitely check it out. I'd love to have you there. We're over 600 members now, which is very nice. I do appreciate that quite a bit actually. But Nvidia closing the day down 0.6% on the day, closing at almost 114 per share. Down a little bit after hours, but tomorrow's a big day. I want to make this very clear. Tomorrow's a big day. Tomorrow we have AMD earnings, and of course we have SMCI earnings, which naturally Nvidia will move in some level of tandem with, right? Whether it's good or bad. Could be good, could be bad. So it's worth mentioning that. But regardless, I'll give you my thoughts. So Nvidia is in an interesting situation here. It's in a very interesting position, and to be completely honest, I don't see a very obvious direction. It's kind of in the middle of limbo land. What do I mean by that? Well, right now it's in between key levels, right? The first key level is that one it's been holding quite nicely. Actually, this 111 to 114, yeah, it's been holding it. That's a positive sign. So let's go over the positives first. That's a bullish sign. That's a positive sign. I like that. That is really good. Also, on the 1 hour time frame here, it's setting up, relatively small, but nonetheless, a rising triangle pattern. Rising triangle pattern making equal highs, essentially getting resisted at pretty much the same level while making very blatant higher lows. Also a bullish pattern. Let's see if it continues like that, right? So in other words, what Nvidia would need to do in order to see my upper target, because I have two main targets right now. To the upside, I have closer to 118. To the downside, I have closer to 107. I don't know which one will go next. I'm not gonna sit here and tell you which one is next. I don't know. It's honestly in kind of like a coin flip land. Like there's nothing suggesting to me one or the other, at least as of right now, especially with the fact that we have AMD and SMCI earnings tomorrow. However, if AMD or Nvidia can play out this rising triangle pattern, in other words, if it can break pretty much above the 115 to like low 115s range, where it got resisted, you can see many times over here. Yeah, I think, closer to 117, 118, 119, something like that, into this next level of massive area of supply resistance is next, right? Bam, nice move up there. That's what I would expect. However, if we lose about 113, then it'll break out of this rising triangle pattern, and then we most likely make our way lower to my lower target, which will be somewhere down around here, closer to the 107s. Again, this most likely will hinge on AMD and SMCI earnings, so let's see how that goes. But that's what I'll be looking for. On top of that, and this is the more bearish side now, if we lose that, that's bearish, obviously. We head down to probably closer to 107, at which point I most likely will be very interested in Nvidia. I actually think if it comes down to 107-ish, not financial advice, just my opinion, it could be an opportunity. It could be quite a phenomenal opportunity, to be completely honest with you. So that's what I'll be looking for. On top of that, for the bearish aspect, we have the MACD now on the 1 hour crossing bearish. Okay. And then we also have the bearish divergence. Now, this is a medium strength bearish divergence, mainly because Nvidia hasn't really made a very obvious higher high. It technically has. If you look at these two highs and these two highs right here on the RSI, it is still a bearish divergence, and it is technically making a higher high, right? While the RSI is definitely making a lower high. So it's in between. I wouldn't say it's a strong bearish divergence, but it's in between medium to strong level of bearish divergence. It's like, if you were to give it out of 10, it's like a 7. It's a 7, right? Maybe 6.5 to 7. Enough strength to warrant caution, right? Again, bearish divergence, if you don't know, one of my favorite things to look for, at least in the 1 hour time frame, which is exactly what Tesla did over here. Just as an example, you can see Tesla made a high here, and then it pretty much went up to make a higher high, and you can see RSI is making lower highs, and look it's been pretty much doing nothing, and just honestly, ultimately slow bleeding down, right? Same idea on Nvidia here, right? Where again, it's doing the same thing over here, where it made technically a higher high, but you can even argue it's pretty much equal highs, but the RSI is continuing to go lower, continuing to make lower highs, right? Nice looking bearish divergence as well, which does signal to me caution. I'm personally not touching Nvidia whatsoever, especially with the earnings coming out tomorrow. I see no reason to play that. This is absolutely a wait and see type scenario for me personally. But let's see how that plays out. But again, it just really comes down to those earnings tomorrow. Those are my main two targets to the upside and to the downside. If we get a move to the upside first, then we break above 115 and head to like, this, let's just say 118-ish. Okay, I think a bull trap will happen, and I think we go down from there. However, if we break below like 113 roughly, and especially 111, then I think 107 is next. Most likely going to be a bear trap, and then from there we head higher. That's kind of my two paths right now, but I don't know which one will come first, and I'm not here to try and guess which one will come first. But if I had to absolutely be forced to guess, I do think down is more likely than up, because the markets also seem a little bit on the more overextended side when it comes to the daily time frame. That's the 4 hour, right? The daily time frame, a little bit overextended in my opinion. So let's see how this plays out. Let's see what actually ends up forming here for Nvidia. Even on the daily, you can see Nvidia is a little bit on the farther end away from its market bias as well on the daily chart, right? Nvidia is not a stock that likes to get away too far away. Especially with the weakness has been showing lately, it's definitely been more weaker than stronger overall. You can see any slight movement and fairly decent deviation, I should say, from this market bias. If a little bit too stretched to the upside, it's been falling back down into it pretty damn quickly, and this feels like similar to that, right? So let's see how that plays out. But again, if I had to pick, I think down is more likely than up here, personally speaking. But again, that's not to say that I'm overall bearish. In fact, I actually personally think that if I see Nvidia around 107, I'll probably bite. I'm not gonna lie, I will probably bite. I will be starting to get very, very interested in the stock at those levels. But yeah, nonetheless, that's kind of what I got for you. So that's the daily chart. Again, I also want to make one final thing clear. This level up here, this kind of 118 to 120 next level of massive supply, very crucial because it also lines up with that massive descending channel on the daily that Nvidia is in. So the bulls absolutely want to go ahead and break back above this and reclaim it and turn it into a support. And then I think the bulls really will have a pretty phenomenal opportunity to truly finally make this stock actually move somewhere other than down, essentially, that it's been doing for the past several months now, right? Several months, many months. So yeah, that's kind of what I'll be looking for there. And the final thing we'll very quickly touch on is, of course, the weekly. Still okay, honestly, it's looking okay, but not amazing. It's still not amazing. This still has work to do. It's looking better, but there's still work to do. Absolutely, there's still work to do. So let's see how this plays out, guys. Let's see how this plays out. But that's kind of what I got for you in terms of that. Let's take a quick look at options flow and see what's happening on options flow over here for Nvidia stock. Some nice little bearishness came in towards the end of the day, but this is all for July, so that's definitely farther away. But in all honesty, the options flow in Nvidia today was pretty light. This is all it is. That's pretty small in my opinion for what I usually see on Nvidia, especially when the stock gets going. So nothing really crazy. And in terms of confirmed bearish or bullish flow, only about a 17 million confirmed bullish flow. So that's not crazy as well. It's pretty slow. It's pretty muted. I assume people are waiting for AMD and SMCI earnings tomorrow. I know I am. I see no reason to play this before that, and I'm not gonna get FOMO. I really don't care what happens from here. If it goes down, phenomenal. If it goes up, phenomenal. Couldn't care less. But I will act based on what I see. So anyways, that's all I got for you. Thanks so much for watching. See you tomorrow. Peace.